My name is Drew, and I am a psychotherapist here in New York City. And today we are going to do a deep dive into the Enneagram 9. I'm going to follow this up with an episode on the Enneagram 9 subtypes, and also an episode on how 4s and 9s get along and stay connected in relationship and build those healthy relationships. So like I said, this is going to be a deep dive. Why am I saying that? This is going to be a long journey. If you are willing to go on this journey, then I commend you. It will make you feel a bit disgusted in yourself at the end. I'm going to just be honest, but know that anything that I would say to you, I would say to myself. I'm pretty harsh on myself, but as a therapist, it is my job to get under the hood and tinker with the gadgetry and figure out what's going on under there and do a diagnostic test on everything. And so I look for what's wrong. That's part of what I do. Now, I know if you're watching this, you're on some spectrum of health to unhealth. Some of you have been working on yourselves for years and years and years, and this is just some kind of extra juice you're getting into your system. You might have heard it before, but you just want to be reminded. Some of you are hearing this content for the first time, and so it might be real disrupting to you, might be discomforting and make you feel like you want to disengage. I understand. Shadow boxing is hard, and we have a shadow. And there's a lot of things in that shadow. And the job of the Enneagram is to help us see what's in that shadow. We can be destroyed by our gifts if we rely on them too much and over-identify with them, cling to them and grasp to them, and use them as a way to feel safe in the world and not move towards the parts of ourselves that need more attention. So in this video, we are going to win by losing. You have to suffer a bit to be willing to transform. So there will be some suffering here. I honestly say that right away, but my goal is to help you feel known, understood, and seen. I have gotten that from a lot of 9s in my life. Friends, even clients, family who are 9s, that have made me feel seen, understood, and known. And so that's my goal. But it will be a rocky road. So my job is to help you understand your personal accent better. My purpose in life is to help people know things about themselves they didn't know they wanted to know. So hopefully that'll happen today. To do that, we're going to have to get into the blind spots a bit. Why do 9s withdraw mentally? Why do you sometimes feel like your presence doesn't matter? Why can you be just as angry as Enneagram 8s? You might not think you're that angry, but we'll find out a way to look and see if you do have some anger that is just locked up somewhere. You might even ask yourself some questions as you're going through this. It's like, how do I feel in my body? Now, Enneagram 9s are part of the gut triad. So they often feel things in their body before they can articulate them. So even now you might be feeling something. Maybe you pause right now to just take a moment to say, what's going on inside of my body? But 9s will redeem your ass, as my friends say. They will make you feel safe and known, like I said. To me, they're the second most interesting number because they are like capturing vapor. It's really hard to pin down a 9 and really know what's going on inside of them. They don't often have the solid components to grab a hold of. But that is also what makes you feel unknown to yourself sometimes as a 9. As a way of protecting yourself from being too vulnerable, you have dislocated yourself, disengaged, and even oppressed yourself at times to the neglect of your desires and passions. And that is where the sin comes in, sloth. Not that 9s are just lazy, but that they are slow to themselves, slow to the things inside of themselves that need to be illuminated. And so I don't want you playing those false notes and degrade yourself. I'd rather you be the composer of the orchestra than just watching the orchestration happen. So 9s, before we even start, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being in my life. Thank you for being great clients and great friends and great family members who have helped me along. I would say that in my life, 9s have probably been some of the most impactful people in my growth because you've held space for me and you've been compassionate and loving and caring and pretty patient. So I commend you for that. It is the gifts that I love in the 9. I know that we won't be talking as much about the gifts moving forward. So trust that your ability to move in the world is already impactful. It already is powerful. We're just hoping to make that even more pronounced and not reduce you to something small, but to highlight and illuminate how strong and powerful you can be in the world. I also don't want this to be about exaggerated ambition. There is already enough of that in the world. And so while I'm talking about you being useful in the world, it isn't for the sake of being like a 3 or being some American who just goes and does, but to just gravitate towards the things in your life that make you come alive and utilize them. So we're going to do this with 9 songs. 9 songs that I think really represent your struggle. And maybe 9 songs that could have more space in your life moving forward. Songs that you can enjoy and go to when you are struggling with something. That make you feel known and understood. So thank you for your time. Hopefully you guys watch till the end. Again, my name is Drew, and if you want to reach out to me at any point to do some work in the future, whether that be short-term or long-term work, and get some help yourself, reach out on Instagram at Drew Newkirk, or the Drew Dog, or Drew Newkirk Psychotherapy, or you can reach out to me on email at drewnewkirk.com. So I hope that you guys go for this journey and listen to these songs with me, and then watch the other episodes on the subtypes and the Enneagram 4 and 9 combo. All right, let's get into the first song. I know many of you 9s would like to run around like naked school children in the meadows and the hills and be free, be loving life, unencumbered, unabashed, unashamed, and unhindered by anything that life is throwing you. Even now as I'm speaking, there's a grinding in the background. It's New York City. There's somebody doing something with some tool. So life just throws us those annoyances, those hardships, when we're ready for it, when we're not ready for it. And 9s tend to need forced initiative put on them. Something hard coming in their way to step them up to their next part of their game. I know what most 9s want to say is like, just take it easy, Drew. My friends say this all the time. Just take it easy. It's like one of the favorite things for a 9 to say. Better not to be hot and bothered by this or that. It's like you're giving it too much attention. But a 9 must hit a major wall that disrupts peace, disrupts their ability to numb out, their tranquility. It has to be disrupted for them to grow, them to stretch, and them to find courage and confidence. So to get after that deep stuff, to be put into the white water without a life preserver, something usually has to come into their life, and something soon will. Undoubtedly, it will come into your life to awaken you through crisis. So the first song is Under Pressure. You must be put under pressure. This is David Bowie and Queen together, Freddie Mercury and Bowie doing a duet. Here's the intro right away. Pressure pushing down on me, pressing down on you, no man ask for. Under pressure that burns a building down, splits a family in two, puts people on the street. Holy shit. It's like the most overwhelming lyrics for a 9. Putting pressure on your life with the building coming down, the family broken apart, the people on the street. You know, a 9 does not like to see poverty. It's not like to see homelessness. I get it. It sucks. Even in the beginning of the song, Bowie's voice is a disruptor. There is kind of a cool melodic experience going on. And I know that you 9s love, like, beginning of that song, I think is a really beautiful moment of kind of tranquility. There's just, it just has the right beat. The bass is kicking, and I know you gut people you can feel it right here. And then Bowie's voice is kind of harsh in contrast. It is the terror of knowing what the world is about. Watching some good friends screaming, "Let me out," as if they are stuck in a burning house and you're the only one who can catch them. This is when a 9 can actually step up. Now, for a 4, I am like a soft peach. I just need a little pierce with my mouth to get the emotions out, to want to dig deep, to want to go to the next level. But for you 9s, it's a harder fruit to bite into. You need to really clamp down like it's an apple. We must, all of us, but especially you 9s, acknowledge the pain of the past and the current pains that are happening to us, and not shelve them or abdicate our responsibility or meander around them or be in denial of them. We can't sterilize these stories. Our avoidance is a trap. And so we have to make it a big deal. I have a friend who's a 9. 5-10 years ago, we were in a bar. We got in a conversation about family. Now, I knew that his mother had left when he was a young boy. Just one day he came home and she was not there, left the whole family, number of brothers and sisters. And in this conversation, he told me that it did not affect him at any level. Of course, as a therapist, I pushed back and he resisted, and there was some kind of migration from pain to, no, it didn't cripple me. It didn't shift me at all. I reestablished myself pretty quickly, and I am this now, and I would have been this anyway. Now, we've had jokes over the years about that moment, because I think he thought about it more. But where I think he really thinks about it now is he's about to have a child for the first time. Just got married. He's considering now, what if my child woke up one day in a formative part of their life and mom or dad were just not there? That's a heaviness I don't think he can deny. There's no ability to fly from that. That's the pressure he needs. Fatherhood, responsibility. The song goes on, "Kick my brains around the floor. These are the days it never rains, it pours." We all need to have some of these moments in life. Wish it wasn't so. In a perfect world, it wouldn't be. And I know you 9s at some level represent what a perfect world could be, Eden. But we are not living in Eden. We are living east of it. And when you're living east of Eden, you need hardship to grow you. We aren't born with all of the facilities and faculties to perform well. I've seen many 9s make a macro stand in this world when other people thought it was a micro stand. And I've also seen them take macro moments and make them micro moments in their head. Huge, epic moments in life that they have diluted and distributed to subterranean regions in themselves that are hard to get at. Dug holes, buried things, and then smoothed it over and put concrete in there. That's what the shadow does. It traps things. We have to get at the shadow, and the 9s are great at throwing things in that trunk, shutting the fucking door. Here's some lyrics that I think are also important. "Turned away from it all like a blind man." Come on, 9s, you're with me, right? sat on a fence, but it don't work. Okay, at some point it won't work, but you guys have sat on a lot of fences. Can't we give ourselves one more chance? Why can't we give ourselves one more chance? Caring about ourselves. This is our last dance. It's a beautiful monster rock song. One of the greatest songs of all time. Rolling Stones has it as 429. I think it's much higher up. Sampled by Vanilla Ice. Come on. 80s? You guys with me? Or is that 90s? There's a beautiful part, and if you go and listen to the song, throughout the song, there's scatting by Freddie Mercury. A lot of this was done improvisationally. They just happened, Bowie and Bowie and Queen just happened to meet in Switzerland in the mountains, and they decided to do a song last minute. And so a lot of this was done improvisationally. And they even had to fight over how it would be produced and how it would be put out. But throughout the song, Freddie Mercury is scatting, which is kind of like a soulful and joyful thing to do in music. And so why they fought over the composition and recording, there was also this improv that was still throughout. That's how I'd like you to see hardship. That's how I'd like to have a life under pressure at moments focus you and actually comfort you that it is a possibility of growth, that there is joy, there is scatting inside the hardship, inside the pressure, because something new will come out of this. Something will be elucidated. Something maybe insoluble will be known to you and be more concrete. So, under pressure, song number one to start you off with some beat and bass to get your gut vibrating. I know you want to feel it in your body, guys. Let it soak in. All right, song number two. I know there is some dancing 9's out there. Many of you know how to use your body. You are in touch with your body. It's where you actually feel a lot of your energy flow in and out, and you can kind of find out what's going on with yourself. So music, I have found, has been pretty powerful for 9's. And if you think about dancing, you often will think about Mick Jagger, moves like Mick Jagger. Let's throw that Maroon 5 song over here. No, it is also not Start Me Up, although you guys do need to be started up a bit. We are going to try to enlarge your 3-part right now. Your high side, your Enneagram 3. I use the word enlarge because if you look at the album cover, Andy Warhol was asked to do it, and there is some suggestive content. And in the original record, there was actually a zipper, jeans, pants, guy, you get it, that was used on the record, but it kept on scratching the record, so they got rid of it. But the album is called Sticky Fingers. It's not for the kids, but you 9's do need to be unzipped a bit. First Rolling Stone album to reach #1 in the US and in the UK. And the song is Can't You Hear Me Knocking? Here's the lyrics. Can't you hear me knocking? Can you hear me knocking at your window? Can you hear me knocking at your door? Can you hear me knocking down your dirty street? Yeah, help me, baby. Ain't no stranger. I've been begging on my knees. I've been kicking. It's a song about a guy pursuing a lady. Maybe she has more money than him. She seems to be in a financial spot in which she has a nice house. He's trying to get in. Maybe she's living with her parents. He is going to find his way in there. Persistence, relentlessness, stamina. In the song, the words, prowling, growling, howling. Can't you hear me knocking? There is a suggestion that I will be heard. I will get in. I will break through the barriers, the door, to reveal myself and to get what I want. And in this case, a lover, But whatever the case is for you, the 9 needs to find more boldness. Maybe even more self-involvement, what you might consider narcissism, I would just call self-promotion. And even that has a negative connotation to 9s. Why would I self-promote myself? Let me just be modest. Let me not have any grand ambitions. Not meaningfully engaged in some of the things that would put me on a platform. But you have to be put out there at times in your life. 9s will err on the side of restriction, zipped up, not wanting to take up too much space or room. But you 9s are participating and active in being overlooked. It's a big conspiracy of vaporization, self-protective, self-annihilating, lobotomizing. There's a spiritually and emotionally criminal act, I think, in participating in us depriving you of some more attention. So we, all of us, but you 9s, and I'm saying we, but even the component in myself that wants to hide away has to go through like chiropractic, like a spiritual or emotional chiropractic, some psychological adjustments that are painful. If we don't get our needs met and just say, I don't know, or be flighty and flaky, then we risk being less important in this world than we could be. I heard it say that the 9s have the least famous people in their grouping. Now, the goal isn't to be famous, but the goal is to be relevant. And so a certain level of modesty is great, but modesty to the detriment of self-promotion is like heresy. You must stake your claim. Your voice needs to be heard. And when little accomplishments are celebrated and over-hopefulness is prioritized, over really digging deep and prioritizing things in life, then you will remain small. It'll be a small story. That complacency won't win. And you can only fool yourself so much with the micro story. I had somebody tell me once, as I was struggling to really take ownership of some of the gifts I had and some of the dreams I had, to err on the side of arrogance. You 9s erring on the side of arrogance will probably never look like arrogance unless it's misconstrued. It's like people who go, well, won't I seem cocky? Won't I seem this? Won't I seem that? It's like, no, a 9, you're so far over here that to be over here is too far of a jump. You being arrogant or seeming arrogant or erring on the side of arrogance just puts you right here. So be a little bit like Mick Jagger. Check out the meme where he's wearing like a ballerina outfit, a purple ballerina outfit, and doing this thing and squawking. And I mean, he does that all the time, but it's a great meme. Send it to friends, but also embody it a little bit. Tap into your Mick Jagger. There's a level of not giving a fuck that he has. That's very high, maybe too high. But to tap into that part that sheds the skin, does not spoil themselves in modesty, but what's the word I want to do? Steps into the unzipped, powerful, enlarged self. Cool? All right, next song. All right, we are going to go right from the 70s to the 80s. Get ready. There's a shift happening. one of my favorite 80s songs, maybe one of your favorite 80s songs. If I had to be on a desert island and pick 5 80s songs, this would be one of them. The beginning is so beautiful. Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears. Oh, you feel it? Go play it in the background. You'll like it, trust me. Welcome to your life. There's no turning back. Help me to decide. Okay, that's it. Help me to make the most of freedom and of pleasure. 9's, freedom, pleasure. We're looking for it. We're digging for it. Nothing ever lasts forever. Everyone wants to rule the world. Okay, just hold that song here. Everybody wants to rule the world. But there can only be one ruler, right? Let's jump to Return of the King, Lord of the Rings, talking about your boy Aragorn. From the ashes, the fire shall be woken. A light from the shadow shall spring. Renewed shall be blade that was broken. The crownless again shall be king. In every spiritual background, whether it's Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, so on and so forth, there is the idea that to gain the world, you must lose it. Whether it's Eastern or Western ideas, mostly Eastern, the Westerns usually screw it up. The idea that when you lose yourself, you gain the world in a sense. Like you gain this understanding of the world that's more pure and right and healthy. Now, how many times I've been told by you 9's that you sit on the top of the Enneagram, you wear your crown, you are the crown jewel. How many different variations of you, when you finally found your cockiness, have shared with me that you are the best, perched and roosted up there. But it seems to be a running theme throughout the Enneagram, folks, so let's play it out. Let's play out that, yes, you hold every number inside of you, and if this was a perfect world, Jesus was probably a 9 and we'd all be 9's, and it's okay. As a 4, this is really hard for me to say out loud. So let me just, but it's true, like you are part of the inner triangle. 9, 3's, and 6's. Interesting thing there is that the 3 and 6, 3 sin being deceit or passion being deceit, and 6's being fear, those are the only 2 that were added out of the 7 deadly sins. So the 9 is looking down on all of the passions. All 8 of them outside of sloth. It gets a good hawkish or falconish view. It's also the core point for the body-based triad, right? So it's 8's, 1's, and 9's right in the middle of those gut folks. It's a foundational point. It's the top of the diagram. So you guys see the world and see all the other numbers from up top. You have the best vantage point. The problem is, often to you, everyone else matters more than you. This is the part that you have annihilated some kind of rightful heirship to the throne. And with your comfort in being overlooked, have overvalued all the other numbers. So it's time to wear the crown. Let's just wear it for a little bit, right? No more resignation. No more not getting worked up about things. As a king, you have to actually get worked up about some things and notice some things and realize some things are wrong. You can't claim ignorance. The whole kingdom will get lost without you being diligent and determined and seeing inequalities, seeing inequities. Now, you already do that, but often your power and your voice aren't strong enough to change those things. Not always. There's plenty of 9s that are social activists and doing great work, but a lot of you have the great ideas to change the world, but haven't found the faculties or the aptitude for it. Additionally, you must be taken seriously. I've seen too many 9s that are the butt of jokes. Sometimes, metaphorically, you need to punch some people back in the face. Stop getting picked on. Stop being overlooked. Now, not picked on in the classic sense, because a lot of 9s are so likable that they don't get picked on, but thought of minutely, not been given the proper amount of energy or attention to your opinion and your ability to rule. And what it's made you is impotent and demeaned and sidelined, not redeemed. So you will have to tap into that bit of you, the gut folks or the hostile or angry types, even though you guys often deny that. We'll get into it later. You have to touch that part of you that can make decisions. Now, as a 4, here's another interesting thing that I've played out in my head. If you guys are at the top and the 4s and 5s are at the bottom, if you've ever seen Price is Right, Blinko, where you drop that little token in the middle and it just pings off, it's almost as if some people think from most complex to least, from least complex to most complex. That the 4s and 5s are the most complex and the 9s are the least complex. I think that's kind of bullshit. I think the 4s and 9s both feel like they didn't get the attention they need. And both can be blown off course for different reasons, because the 4 has too much emotionality and the 9 has too little, or too in touch with the emotion and too out of touch with the emotion. But I think that almost like dilution, the ability for all of the feelings to be felt has kind of trickled down through all the numbers, and all of the abilities to deny those feelings have been taken away by the other numbers, starting with you 9s. And the 4s and 5s are at the bottom looking down at hell with all the emotions and intensity and heavy weight. Share it with us. Take back some of the heaviness and chew on it. Us 4s and 5s at the bottom need some reprieve. Take some of our weight, acknowledge pain. Don't be so resistant to it. It can help us, I think. Now, in this song, there's a communication about the environment. Turn your back on Mother Nature, on money and success. Help me make the most of freedom and of pleasure. Nothing ever lasts forever. Dictatorship. Even while we sleep, we will find you. Politics, holding hands while the walls come tumbling down. All lyrics in that song. These are things that I think 9s can get jazzed about, can put their energy towards and ambition towards changing. So you guys already don't usually have the same kind of desire for success and money. You do seem to love the environment. Politics often aren't a 9s thing, but they can get involved in. And they don't like when people are being held down and ruled over. So these are some of the places held within this song in the 80s where you never think that the lyrics are that heavy, actually. There's so many social causes that they're communicating about. But that you can use powers to that end. With your ability to see how everyone else does it, you can be who you were meant to be by being more engaged in this process. Okay. Who would have thought that Everyone Wants to Rule the World would be such a heavy song? Go listen to the lyrics. I think it might help you guys out a little bit. All right. Since we're already dealing with numbers, like what's the numbers around a 9? How do they connect in a triangle? What's at the bottom? What's at the top? Let's just stay there.
Let's look at the 8s and the 1s on either side of you. Just think about them as magnets. And you're in the middle just being held up. We have the defiant ones, the 8s. We have the compliant ones, the 1s. And the 1s are so hard on themselves, so they have to also, at some level, be hard on others. They're hostile types. You're a hostile type. These 3 hostile types are sitting there together. There's a lot of intensity. I sometimes ask myself when I'm dealing with a hard situation, where am I between 2 thoughts? If there's black and white, right or wrong, good or bad, what's the gray in the middle? If I see this conclusion and that conclusion, what's another conclusion I can see? It's that non-dualistic thinking. Now, you've got some dualistic thinkers on both sides of you. And so you're kind of stuck in the air there in this magnetic field. These 8s with tons of energy that get a second and a third and a fourth wind, and you as a 9 can hardly get a second wind. The 8s have so much stamina. 9s have the least stamina. 8 gains energy from leading. You lose energy from leading. And then we have these righteous, principled, less fluid types on the other side of you. You're the fluid type. They want structure. They want rationality and organization, these 1s. They can be judgmental, like I said, inordinately principled, dualistic, disciplined, and active. And so it makes sense why there's so much fluidity when you're between these 2. There's so much kind of ambiguity, a self-negating and unimportant component you put on yourself when there's 2 loud characters on both sides. Additionally, I'm getting to the song, trust me, I got it in my head. You can become a leaf in the wind, a boat set adrift, simple and easy with those kind of personalities. Now think about what you grew up with. Often there was either chaos in the house where you didn't think that you were going to get the attention you needed, or the parents were overwhelming, or whatever. You were the youngest child, the oldest child, lost in the mix. That authority figures or institutions subdued you. Or even worse, sometimes, because it's more confusing, coddled and spoiled you. So you don't have the tools in which to handle the world. That boundary work is so hard. How to set boundaries with the people who didn't give you what you needed, and who are complicated and intense and coming at you. Even as I'm talking now, I'm kind of to slow down a bit. There is a pain when we don't know ourselves. But you can only be ignorant for so long, because you can only stick in the middle so long. So our song is Stuck in the Middle with You by the Steelers Wheel. All right, you all know this song. You probably don't know who Steelers Wheel is unless you're a music aficionado, but you know the song, Stuck in the Middle with You. Well, I don't know why I came here tonight. I've got the feeling that something ain't right. Get it? I'm so scared in case I fall off my chair. And I'm wondering how I'll get down the stairs. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. And I'm wondering what it is I should do. Those lyrics probably resonate a little bit. Think about the overwhelming parents or the overwhelming siblings. And you're stuck with yourself in the middle. Wanting maybe to be someone else or to have a different circumstance. Often, what many of you have done, and I know many of my 9 friends, because they've chosen me as a friend, is you've chosen some characters, hopefully, that you can practice setting boundaries with, pushing back on, and getting your needs met. hopefully you found a few of those characters who don't let you self-negate, but help you self-develop, that are healthy enough to bring you forth. But they usually are pretty big personalities, so it's still complicated. Those people, like myself, still like to get their way, still like to make decisions and go their way. So the healthy thing for us, is me as a sexual 4, is my 9 friends have given me the room to be myself, but also push back and advocated for themselves. And they knew I would advocate for them too. Now, we had our dust-ups. We had moments where I did not find them important enough, or they did not find themselves important enough, and they got overlooked. But there's this other layer where you as a 9 might have picked somebody who will walk all over you, who is maybe too strong and needs to be pushed back. The battles need to be fought so that you can get a voice. So 9s often are picking people who are powerful, whether it's a quiet power or a loud power. Now, that's not necessarily wrong. These two just have to find ways to work together in which one voice quiets a bit and the other voice strengthens. Many of you 9s have held down desire for so long. You've held back the turbulence of others, the intensity of the 8 and their confronting style, and the righteousness of the 1 and their rigidness, and all of the other numbers out there. Maybe your opinions and your desires and passions were snuffed out by your family, smashed your will, and put you in your place. They told you you won't get what you want. You will get what we want you to have. Desire is the engine of life. So when that song comes on, Stuck in the Middle with You, and there's these other lyrics that say, and your friends, they all come crawling, slap you on the back and say, please, 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 because you've at some level become a person who takes on the opinions, desires, passions of others, and have lost focus on your own, underappreciated how unique you are, and you've maybe become kind of a generalist. We have to get mixed up in the middle, muddy in the middle, bloody in the middle. And so I use this song to illustrate that there is a chance for you to let yourself go a bit and find these things that bring you joy, bring you even like an anger to fix. And then you use the gifts of the folks on the side of you, the principles of the 1 and the confrontational component of the 8 to your benefit. Cool? All right, next song. Before I get into the next song, I just want to throw a couple more lyrics from the last song, because I think they set up this next song. And they set up this next song because we naturally go to sleep on a lot of the things that help us build deeper relationships. So here's the lyrics from that last song, Stuck in the Middle with You. Trying to make sense of it all, but I see it makes no sense at all. Is it cool to go to sleep on the floor? That's it. Just wanted to throw those lyrics out because to find out who we really are, and all of us hate not knowing who we are, we have to get in touch with that part that hates not knowing who we are. And so many 9s have made anger, frustration, all of the various degrees of anger that there are, from peeved to rage-filled, infinitesimal. They've made themselves neutralized and vasectomized by how little attention they've given to anger. But it's there. It's important. And so to know yourself, you have to have some frustration with not knowing yourself. So let's talk a little bit about anger. The song is Enjoy the Silence by Depeche Mode. My favorite version is the live in Berlin version. It's on YouTube. So good. Extended dance thing that they do. Oh. Anyway, words like violence break the silence, come crashing into my little world, painful to me, pierce right through me. Feelings are intense. Words are trivial. Words are very unnecessary. They can only do harm. Now, whatever the Dave Gahan is singing about there might not translate to what we're talking about, but it's kind of a 9's theme that words are violent, and I don't want to put that on anyone. I don't want to cause conflict. Therefore, I will separate from this person. They will not probably meet my needs anyway, so why would I confront them? But you are an anger type, just like 8's and 1's. You're part of that triad, the hostile triad. You're hostile to a lot of the things that make you you. It's not that you're overtly angry. You're snoozing on your anger. You're snoozing on your frustration. But I'll say this, it oozes out. You can't, anger has to go somewhere. I actually believe that all of us have been distributed an equal amount of anger. It's just how we manifest it. So sexual 4's and 8's really are in touch with it. And the funny thing is, I found that a lot of sexual 4's and 8's are pretty aware of 9's anger. They feel it. It's so subtle, but it's there. Conflict makes 9's feel like they are deunionizing, and you guys want union. I like that this is a love song too. It's about merging. It's about staying together. It's about not doing the things that are wrong that will make us disconnect. But we must accumulate some good fights, causes, battles, where we lose or win, that we have strife and conflict in them, that we get uncomfortable and internally agitated. 9's, you cannot steal disappointment from us. Let us be disappointed in you. We need it to grow. We need your pushback to grow. But you're a thief and a hijacker and a robber if you do not give us that honesty. My own experiences with not being confronted by 9's have almost ended relationships. Even when I rolled out the red carpet of openness and said, tell me what you need to tell me. And the resistance was too strong at times from some of my friends who are working through their own things and now have gotten to a place where they can do it. Now, the good thing is they give me a long leash. And I love that about you 9's. You're so fair and accommodating and unbiased. And we can rest in you. We can find comfort in you. But sometimes you can be complicit in the process of our lack of growth, and therefore you don't grow by confronting. You need a bit more carbonation, less self-abasement, less desire to have some kind of osmosis with people where you just merge and things are cool. That is the low side of your number, the 6, the ambivalent and fearful side that doesn't want to mix it up, doesn't want to fight on behalf of yourself and on the behalf of others. You're more likely to do it with others, but less likely to do it with yourself. We need to know the difference between harm and hurt. Hurting someone is often healthy. Giving them honest feedback, pushing back, setting boundaries, not letting them get away with too much, not letting yourself be, in a sense, engineered. But harming someone is intentional and deliberate and has levels of evil to it. So I know how hard it was probably for you to find your anger, find your hurt, locate it, to have the motivation and the determination to do that. I challenge you to even pull out a list of words that describe anger. Anger is so broad. And just within the day, jot down when you're angry. Otherwise, you can be this inert mass that's hard to push. And that's where the passive aggressiveness comes in. You show up late. You don't answer the phone. You do the things that tell a person, fuck you, without telling them, fuck you. And that's when I've been most hurt by 9s. Now, I've also seen 9s battle over trivial things. Because they're not fighting the bigger fight, they tap into their 8 or 1 wing and will battle over the most ridiculous things. You guys know who you are. Some of you have fought me over things that are so irrelevant that I kind of just go like, what are we doing here? Why do you care about that? And often it's because there is a little practice in it, which is cool. Like 9s have to practice. But sometimes it's a spiritual or emotional bypass. They're fighting the small fight so they don't have to fight the bigger fight in their own life. Think about that. Think about when you've done that, when you've picked little battles with friends over things that are very inconsequential because you are bypassing the bigger picture. Okay. Another thing 9s can do with anger is somaticize it. It will show up in their body. This is where I think sexual 4s and 8s really pick up. Like there's something going on. This person is wearing something on their body that is revealing their deep frustration, but they don't even know it. Like you 9s don't even know it. So sometimes just feel what's going on in your body. Now you can also vulcanize your body or vulcanize your anger. I don't know if I'm saying that right or if I just made up a word, but like to have the volcano happen, to blow up, to have just molten lava oozing out because you've held it down so long that now when you want to self-assert, it's not self-contained enough. So 9s have the hard conversations. We are ready to be disturbed and disrupted. We need you to push us in the right direction. And we trust you usually because you're so fair and balanced. But no, we also appreciate that you give us a long leash. So this is my challenge to you to not settle for status quo. Keep relationally using healthy conflict to progress the relationship, not to stifle it. Cool? On to the next song. And you may find yourself living in a shotgun shack. And you may find yourself in another part of the world. And you may find yourself behind the wheel of a large automobile. And you may find yourself in a beautiful house with a beautiful wife. And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here? So the song is Once in a Lifetime by the Talking Heads, and that's David Byrne's lyrics. I see David Byrne about once a month riding his bicycle. He lives in the neighborhood and he's a tall man. He rides an upright bicycle, and every time I see him, I go, how did I get here? And then I start singing this song in my head. Great song, produced by Brian Eno, a great musician. The idea was like a sermon. And like a preacher, David Burns is doing a call and response about the drudgery of living life according to social expectations, is what a critic said. Here's what David Byrne had to say. We operate half awake or on autopilot and end up, whatever, with a house and a family and a job and everything else. And we haven't really stopped to ask ourselves, how did I get here? A lot of 9s resonate with this story. I've worked with so many 9 clients over the years that come to me and go, how did I end up in this life? How did I get here? Sometimes 9s have a really tough time typing. Like, I don't mean typing, but like typing, Enneagram typing, finding out what they are, what number they are. They're so connected to all the other numbers. And there is a part of them in their self-development that says, who am I? Like, what got me here? People can rest with them, but they're not feeling rested themselves. So these lyrics that say, same as it ever was, same as it ever was. There was water underground, water flowing underground, once in a lifetime, water flowing underground. I think the symbolism there is that water is a lifeblood. It's what we need to survive. And if you don't find that water, you'll continue to ask the question, how did I get here? Now, a lot of the 4's struggle, or thinking about myself, the 9's struggle is that they're so other referencing. That's what's going on in here is harder to find out as it is to find out what's going on over there. They fuse and they merge. And who am I if I'm not a part of a merger with a group or a person? So they vicariously kind of can live through other people. And the false self merges to a state of neglect of self. It's not a positive constraint. It's an unhealthy constraint, this merger. And so we use the words by Carl Jung of individuation, finding out how to be an individual, how to be separate, how to move away and differentiate yourself, how to not defer but to decide, to not have a self-deletion in your fusion, but a self-enlargement. And so we can take on the opinions of others and the preferences of others, and to find out what it is for ourselves as a 9 is hard. I had a client who's a 9. I wasn't talking about this song with her, and she just said, sometimes I ask myself, where am I? What is going on? What are people talking about? That she's so engulfed in enmeshing herself with others that it's hard to be deliberate about the content that's going on inside of her. So we even talked about, hey, if you're going to get ideas from other people and get a consensus, which 9s are great at doing, then before you do that, let's have a pre-consensus moment where you declare and have a declaration sheet of what you know and what you think and what you want before you go get the consensus. A lot of times 9s are getting taken down a river and don't realize they also have a paddle. So sometimes a 9 has to find the 2 or 3 things they love in life outside of merging with others and really hone them. They can be great generalists, but that question of how did I get here is also, what are you into? That sloth part, the slow to get started, working around the important things, that pseudo or faux important things that you get involved with and get active in to avoid the true essential stuff that's been relegated somewhere deep, that you've called sort of essential. We can't put ourselves to sleep to that and wake up like Rip Van Winkle and go, how did I get here? What's going on? That stuff is too sacred, too special, too crucial. So we've got to dig. And I know it's so hard for you to find out what that is. But the deliberate act of self-work, whether that's therapy, meditation, reading, but also action, going out and trying things, getting messy in the world, that will move us from being a generalist where we're kind of like, what do I choose, to more of a specialist. Laziness is the passion, or sloth is the passion. And the high side is action. So we can't just reflect, contemplate, and meditate. We have to act also. So, David Byrne, when I see him on his bicycle, riding quick and speedy like, and kind of knowing where he's going, seemingly, he has that intensity. He doesn't know that I'm using this for you 9s. This beautiful song. Great song to listen to. Fun song, and with, we're talking about some heavy stuff. So something to enjoy, something to just relish. And when we're thinking about our human condition of what's inside of us and how to get it out, having some fun with it. All right, next song. Stop. That is the first lyric in the song Where Is My Mind by the Pixies. Frank Black, the lead singer's voice, instantly commands us to stop. And I think what he is beckoning the listener to do is stay present, stay in the moment with the band, listen to this song, be aware, be locked in, know where you're at. But the lyrics are somewhat similar to our last song, Once in a Lifetime. Listen to these lyrics. Your feet in the air and your head on the ground. Your head will collapse, but there's nothing in it, and you'll ask, where is my mind? Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Way out in the water, see it swimming. Another connection to water, that lifeblood that we need, that thing we need to survive. But in this case, it's water taking us away. We're adrift. We're like a boat on the sea without any rudder. There's a similarity between that and the last song, but in this case, I want to concentrate on how 9s can feel like there's something essential missing. Something's off. And this is to that point of Frank Black saying, hey, pay attention. I've heard many 9s say they feel dissociated at times. They lose themselves in a moment, almost feeling on the spectrum. That they can see through others' eyes, but sometimes they can't see through their own. So sometimes when you're talking to a 9, you can feel like they're a bit lost, like there's a 1,000-mile stare. I've seen this on a lot of 9s, but they just seem cloudy, look confused, like maybe ping pong is going on in their head and they just lock out of life a bit and dislocate themselves. 9s don't seem to occupy the space that is available to them. There's space here, and they can't put themselves in the place and fill it up. It's like a balloon that's like 1/4 or 1/2 full with helium. It just doesn't keep rising. There is something sieve-like a strainer, Swiss cheesy about a 9. Things get through and lost, and we can see it sometimes in their body and their face. There's a distance. It's vague and ambiguous and almost environmental or atmospheric. I know in my own life I have been caught many times in my own head, not usually told by 9s, but of finishing 9 sentences or speaking over 9s, that they just seem sometimes a bit analog and not digital. Now, what I've learned from 9s is how to be more patient in conversation, slow to speak, quick to listen. They've really helped me do that, not by reprimanding me, but just by being easy with a word that says, hey, I just wanted to finish that. So I've said this before, that
nines can feel a bit like vapor, like gas, and not like a solid. So I challenge you nines to just think about moments in which you get lost in conversation because there's overstimulation coming your way, and stop. Notice what's going on in your body. Is my head on the ground and my feet are in the air? That's first lyrics, right? Your feet in the air and your head on the ground. And can you get back rooted with your head where it should be and your feet where they should be? Think about a redwood in California, these huge trees, 100 feet tall. The thing is, with their root systems, they don't go very deep. They really sprawl out very far, and the roots will grab a hold of other roots that are around them, and they make a system of strength. So when winds and rains and powerful storms come, even though they're so tall, they don't fall because they are really wrapped in each other. That is our goal, to stop and find what helps. Maybe it's yoga or meditation or listening to music like we're doing now, to just root you, or just tell somebody, hey, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed right now. Can I take some time for myself and then come back to the conversation? Now, here's another thing I want to commend you nines for. Many of you live in hostile territory, or at least it feels that way. Cities, areas that have a lot of strife. But let's just speak to cities, for example. This city, New York City. I commend the nines who stay here. I've had a lot of 9 friends who have left, a lot who have stayed. And it's hard for them because when they walk outside of their door, there's an overstimulation coming their way, slapping them around. And they have to prepare for that even before they walk out the door. And so if you are living in an area that is hard, the answer often isn't to just leave, because these places need you. A place like New York City needs a huge amount of 9s to survive. If we lose the 9s, we're fucked. We need peace and unbiased perspective. We need thoughtful responses and listening. But sometimes it feels like too much. I am challenging you, those folks who are in places that feel intense, to challenge yourself to stay there a bit. Get used to it, but also acknowledge that it is hard, but that you are needed in these places. Here's a quote that I have really been gravitating towards lately that's really powerful, and I think 9s really relate to this. This is about New York City. I don't know exactly who Claude McKay is, but it is in Stone in Battery Park, and I go on my runs and I stop by these quotes that are about New York City. There's like 4 of them right where Battery Park starts. And this one is strong. Although she feeds me bread of bitterness and sinks into my throat her tiger's tooth, stealing my breath of life, I love this cultured hell that tests my soul. I know that is an experience that a lot of 9s have had in cities or places with strife or intensity. That you feel like you're being killed or attacked in the neck, in the jugular. But also that it stretches you. A lot of my friends who are 9s are so healthy who live here, for example, because they've been forced, like that song by Queen and Bowie, to be under pressure, and therefore have awoken and stopped and got rooted in themselves and in the place they're at and provided something to it. So you must ask yourself, what do I want? What do I need? What am I feeling right now? And trust the tiny voice within you that knows. It takes a lot to have all this info coming in. I understand that. And sometimes you have that 1,000-yard stare. Okay. But try to get as rooted as you can. Cool? Where is my mind? The Pixies, beautiful song. At the end of Fight Club, go watch that scene. It is one of my favorite scenes and one of my favorite placements of a song in a movie. All right, guys, next song. All right. No playlist
or soundtrack in my life would be complete without the Killers. They are my favorite band, and you can do what you want with that. But I love them. They have so many anthems, so many songs that have inspired me and gotten me ready for the fight. So this song is for us who need to attach ourselves to the idea of getting shit done and being successful. I don't want to make this a American entrepreneurial thing, but we all have jobs to do, and we all have moments in our lives where we have to take the initiative and find that spot where we can jump in. So this song is called Shot at the Night. Once in a lifetime, the suffering of fools, to find our way home, to break in these bones. Oh, give me a shot at the night. Give me a moment, some kind of mysterious. I love this song because I know you guys love the mysterious. Once in a lifetime, we're breaking all the rules. And these are your rules. The rules that you guys have for yourself, signs. To find that our home has long been outgrown. Throw me a lifeline, 'cause honey, I got nothing to lose. It's time to push the pace. I've heard too many 9's spend too long on specific issues and work in their life. Things that take others 1 year take them 10. Things that take a person a couple days take them a month or two. Okay, cool. Not trying to judge you, but we have to shorten that time span. 9's often have no idea how small their story is. The gravitational pull towards safety is too strong. Somebody said it's like the Enneagram 3 and the Enneagram 6. One has their foot on the gas, and the 6 has their foot on the brake, and the 9 just stays neutral and stuck. Not moving. It's torture to watch. Many 9's are way too comfortable with the idea of their own death, or they've at least denied it. Many of you know that my favorite book is The Denial of Death. It's all about how our whole setup is to deny that we will die. Now, when we can access that enough, and as Socrates says, we must practice death. And every great sage has talked about how we need to be aware of and gravitate towards an acknowledgement of our demise. We need the clock ticking a bit, so we do not refuse the weight of reality. The lack of being deliberate and of having intentional acts towards focused goals and missions is to the detriment of the 9. It's initiativeless, it's procrastination at best. It is not what Bruce Springsteen talks about when he says, I am on fire. We must attach to the system that structures us to focus and tethers us to something important and actionable. 9's are both end thinkers, they're able to be egalitarian, to everything is equal. So how do I start to prioritize anything? What should I prioritize today? The harmony and the unity are louder than the necessity. And so pick one or two things that you can actively pursue and try to shift out the rest. It's cool that everything belongs. We love that about 9's, and we need that. And we thank you for being patient with us, understanding to be safe, and giving us ample emotional fields to roam. We've needed that. But often you've been patient and understanding and safe and locked in your pen with yourself. It's time for danger. It's time for you to find that shot in the night, the pressing of time, the internal clock that's ticking, that's saying, death is soon. Being a Mustang on the range instead of a cow chewing on hay. It often means shifting from a mediocre mindset to, and this is the hard part I think for 9s, deselecting from everything belongs to a few things belong. Addition by subtraction. Making yourself great by subtracting things. I've talked to so many 9s that have grand ideas about what they're going to do. And by the time they're done telling me what their idea is, it's 10 things in one. Not one thing that leads towards 10. You start with the great thing that you do and you branch off. If you want to throw 10 things out in the beginning, you'll never get anything done. And so that's what's happened in many 9s' lives. They've made a molehill out of a mountain, as Richard Rohr says. Making a molehill out of a mountain. Or making a mountain out of something that should be a molehill. They both work. So the anxiety of doing is higher for many 9s than the embarrassment of talking about it. And that is what I think disappoints us as friends and family, significant others, is that there is a reveling and a relishing the small wins and being controlled by the demands of the massive wins. And so the idea of what I'm going to do and the grand exploration of this dream I have aren't actually actualized, because to really get something done, you have to narrow down first. So take your shots, but take them with that idea of deselecting to select, addition by subtraction. All right, now we got the heavy hitter at the end, a little conclusion, and you will be left to your own devices. Here's song number 9. All right, song number 9 is an idealist's anthem. And we have to remember when we're talking about 9s, we're talking about you guys, that the unconscious motivation is to avoid conflict, to find inner and outer peace. So this song is both an affirmation of your ability to help us find peace and also a caution about finding your own peace first so that you can help others find their peace. It is Imagine by John Lennon. This was low-hanging fruit. Give me this one. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say, I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope you'll join us. Imagine no possessions, imagine no countries, no religion too, no greed, hunger. You get it. Beautifully written song. Simple. It is a very Enneagram 9 song. I call it an idealist anthem because, it's the ideal. It's not reality, but it is the ideal. Blessed are the peacemakers, and you guys are the peacemakers. Don't confuse peacemaking and pleasing, but your compassionate presence has helped us along, given us comfort. Your spirit bears common witness with our spirit. That is great. It's cool. It's gotten me through a lot of hard times. It is your true fruit, your true lifeblood that you give to others. But what I find with a lot of 9s is that they aren't aware of their own pain. It's that classic metaphor when you get on a plane, if the oxygen comes down, take the oxygen for yourself first before you give it to anyone else, because when a plane decompresses, you can lose consciousness within seconds. So you trying to put this mask on your child can get the mask on but not be able to help you because you're passed out and they're too little to help you do anything. So you extend compassion to others, but sometimes you haven't done the work to actually help them grow. They might feel your compassion and empathy, but to help them get to the next level requires something that is beyond compassion and empathy. It is patience with yourself and with your story, and also learning it well. A honed awareness, a motivation and ambition towards breaking down your story and healing from it. Giving people the benefit of the doubt sometimes, for example, I've seen with 9s, is almost a form of self-hate. They defer to helping in others who might take advantage of that, who might misuse that, not only take advantage, but become clingy with you, so you're wasting time. But the reason you will do it is because you haven't done the work in your own life to signal off, this person's not good for me. I've got to get away. And that's kind of self-hate, of not giving yourself that time and attention. I have a friend who was talking about her gut, literally her gut. You know, you 9s can wear your pain in your body. If you haven't read the book, The Body Keeps the Score, go grab it. It's a good book for 9s. That you can wear a lot of the pain in your life, in your body, and it'll show through eating and how your body metabolizes. And so she said, I'm a gut person who abandoned her gut for a long time. Till I healed my gut, I wasn't able to follow my instincts. It's pretty radical. She took the time and ambition to take care of herself. And she moved from codependency and enabling, as she told me, to empathy and compassion. It wasn't as clingy, and sometimes our compassion, empathy needs to say, that person's not for me. A lot of 9s explain like a moment where the person they were talking to thought they were in agreement with a 9, but the 9 was just understanding and getting them. But the 9 didn't go far enough to say, hey, I'm not totally on board with you. I get what you're saying. And some of that's because they haven't done the hard work in their own life to find out what's important to them. So, yes, you can absorb a people's emotional energy, and that takes a lot out of you, but it also is good for people. And you can be overwhelmed by it, but you can also find your worth in it. But the peacemaker role requires extreme amount of attention. And like I said, that honed awareness to your own level of awareness of self and concentration on those boundaries so that you keep people from taking advantage of you. So that your, as my friend said, instincts could be a guide. Then you will be able to give emotional and spiritual CPR and adrenaline to other humans because you've found it in your own life. So imagine that. That's a cheesy way to end, but imagine that. Like, imagine if you do the hard work, how really useful what you offer to other people can be. Not just empathy and compassion, but deep healing. That will be very powerful. All right, let's conclude this jam. Go on your way, damn it.
If you made it all the way to the end, I commend you, 9s. You do have that grit, that fire, that ability to go the long distance. So, thanks for being with me. Thanks for listening to songs with me. And if you're into this and you want to see some more videos, please subscribe. It helps. And you can write, let me know how you experienced this. And hopefully we'll see each other down the road in that journey of continued growth. Till then, everything is yet to be done. Everything, in the words of Rainer Marie Rilke. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.